today for my tutorial. We are going to be making the Boho Festival hoodie. We're going to be making this in an adult medium. There is a link below for the written pattern if you need this to help follow you along. There's also a link for the PDF pattern. This will give you all sizes from 12 months to adult extra large, 4 times extra large, sorry. We'll be using this James C. Brett marble chunky yarn. Lovely colours for that festival vibe. This colour is MC45. There's a huge range of colours, so go and check them out if you fancy a different shade. We'll be using a 6.5mm hook, our yarn scissors, yarn needle, and we'll need some markers. Just to give you the gauge for this pattern, as it won't go with the yarn, I've used a slightly bigger hook just to give it some space in between the stitches so it's nice and stretchy. And this is a 4-inch square, so that's 12 half double crochets by 10 rows, and that should give you the right gauge. So make sure you have a go at this before to make sure that you're on the same track. And we're going to begin by working from the bottom up, and we'll create some arm spaces, we'll add the hood, then the sleeves, and then we will do some nice ribbon around the edge. So I'm just going to grab my yarn, and I'm going to half double crochet 131 chains. So let's do this. So if you go ahead, for any of the other size we'll be using the same method, so you can follow along to this tutorial just fine in your size. Just do your foundation chain. Okay, so I've got my foundation chain here. There's 131 chains, and I'm going to half double crochet into the second chain on the hook. So I'm going to yarn over, go into the stitch, yarn over, and pull through all 3 loops. So I've got my first half double crochet there, and then I'm just going to half double crochet all the way along the chain. So yarn over, put into the stitch, pull through all 3. Yarn over, into the stitch, yarn over, and through all 3. So all the way along the same. Yarn over, into the stitch, yarn over again, and through all 3. And if you continue to just do this all the way to the end, you'll have 130 stitches. And then chain 1 and turn. I'm at the end of my foundation row of half double crochet. So I have 130 half double crochets. I'm just going to chain 1 and turn. I like to weave in my yarn ends as I go along, but you can weave them at the end if you like. I just sort of pull them into the stitch as I go along. So my next stitch for the row 2 is again going to be half double crochet. So I'm going to yarn over, push through, try and get that yarn end on the top of my hook as well, and pull through all 3. Yarn over into the next stitch, yarn over, and pull through. So for this row we're going to be doing half double crochets all the way along again, and then you'll chain 1 and turn. So we're going to do this for 57 rows in total. So it's just rows of half double crochet all the way along, chain 1 and turn until you have 57 rows of half double crochet, and then we'll start to make the space for the sleeves, the armholes. So just half double crochet rows. You should have 130 stitches, chain 1 at the end and turn, and just keep repeating the same method all the way until you have 57 rows of half double crochet. When you've completed your rows, you'll have a lovely, quite a bunch of fabric by now, for the size medium. It looks like this, so it's just one long rectangle. The colours are coming together beautifully. Lovely sort of rustic, colourful vibe going on there. And then all I want you to do is grab your stitch markers and count in from each edge 40 stitches. So I've already done this here. So I've counted in 40 from my edge here. 40 half double crochets, and I've placed a marker, and I've done the same for the other side, so 40 half double crochets, and I've placed another marker there. These front pieces will be your lapels, and this will be your back piece, so your back piece should have 50 stitches on. Although it may look a bit strange when you fold it that the front pieces are sort of crossing over quite a lot, I do get a few questions about things like this. So obviously we're not flat. Our bodies aren't completely flat, so this will not cross as much once it's wrapped around your body. However, for this pattern, it's quite a loose, oversized sort of vibe. So I've made it a bit bigger at the front, so you can sort of wrap it around yourself or do it up. So this is something that's going to be worn, you know, quite a lot when it's cold, whether you're sitting in the garden or if you are at that festival. Something you want to be able to wrap yourself in and feel really quite cozy. So this is why it does seem a bit oversized, but when we get to the end and you try this on, you'll see exactly what I mean. So now we've got our markers in. I'm just going to start from my right side, and I'm going to join my yarn on the end here. Just bear with me, I didn't have that ready. And I'm just going to join the yarn and half double crochet along. So I've joined it with a slip stitch, and I'll half double crochet into the same stitch. And half double crochet into the next stitch, and I'm going to do that all the way along till I reach my marker stitch, and I'll be turning, chaining and turning at my marker stitch. So half double crochet there. So I want to half double crochet all the way along to this marker, and then I'll chain and I'll turn. So we'll just be working in rows, repeat rows to there. So you need to do this, so in total you have 80 rows, that's from the bottom up. So that's another, so 57, this is row 58, so another 23 rows. So you're adding 23 rows just up to your marker and back of half double crochet along, and then you can cut that yarn off there and weave in your ends. We will do the same for the other side. So you'll just join in the corner here, do your half double crochets along all the way to your next marker, and then repeat your rows, 23 rows, so you've got a total of 80 rows of half double crochet up to the top, and you'll just have these lapels done on the side, and I'll come back to you to help you do the back. Now that we've done our lapels on either side, they will look like this, just some rectangles at the moment. So what we're going to do is we're going to open this up, and we're going to join our yarn here on the first marker we've got there. We're going to join it into the same stitch. So at the moment you've got 50 stitches along the back of your back piece, and at the end we'll have 52 because we're going to join in this stitch here. We're going to half double crochet all the way along, and we're going to half double crochet into the same stitch as the marker on the other side. So you'll have 52 stitches in total along the back. So I'm just going to join with a slip stitch into this same marker stitch here. And then I'll half double crochet into the same stitch. You can remove your marker for this now, if you wish, you don't need that anymore. And then just complete half double crochets all the way along and into the marker stitch at the end. So I'm completing my row of half double crochet for my back piece, and I'm just finishing here in this same stitch as the marker. Make sure I pick that up, and half double crochet into there. You can remove your marker at this stage, and we will just chain one and turn. So you've just completed row 58. We need a number of 80 rows to complete this from your foundation row to the top. So you'll do another 22 rows of half double crochet, just all the way along, same as you did the lapels, until you've completed 80 rows in total from the bottom. And then we will sew our shoulder seams. So it starts to look a bit like this. You've got your lapel piece and you've just started to do your back piece there. Now that we've done our back piece, we've got 52 half double crochets along the back and 40 for each lapel. We're going to sew our shoulder seams now to create our armholes. So if you just want to line up your first side of your lapel, so we want it to match along the side here and along the top. Grab yourself a stitch marker and you want to count in from the outer edge 17 stitches and place your marker. So if you place that on the 17th stitch, grab yourself a little bit of your yarn, matching yarn, and your yarn needle. We're going to do a mattress stitch and just sew that up along the side there. You can use whichever stitch you like. It's not going to make a difference, just make sure it's nice and secure, as this will be for your armholes now. So I'm going to start at this edge here and I'm going to secure it with a few stitches on the end. Maybe 3 in that first stitch, just to make sure it's nice and secure. And then I'll be going through both stitches all the way through along. should be quite easy to line them up. They're quite large stitches. So if you just do that all the way along, and then you can cut that off and weave in your end, and we'll do the same for the other side. Now we've sewed our shoulder seams, we can remove those markers. You should have 18 stitches left across the back, unworked stitches there, and 23 left on each lapel. So I'm just going to show you what it looks like to turn right side out now, but we won't be turning it right side out until we do the edging, because we'll be putting the sleeves on with it inside out. So, starting to take form now. Sorry, so much fabric there. So, this will be your whole back piece. So this is your shoulders, and this will be the front of your jacket. Your lapels there, and your little bit for your neck piece there. So next we're going to start working on our hood. So I'm going to turn this back the other way. So I'm joining my yarn on the left lapel. It looks like the right, but obviously when it's turned right side out. So I'm going to join it on the end stitch here. If I can get it in. Just slip stitch that into there. And we'll half double crochet into the same stitch. It's always quite tight when you've done a slip stitch into there. Okay, and we're going to work along the back piece. Sorry, I've got my yarn tangled here. We're going to work all the way along the lapel and along the back of the neckline. So just half double crochet along the lapel. When we get to the shoulder seams where it joins here, we're going to half double crochet these two stitches together. So I'll show you that in just a sec. So I'm just getting to my spaces of my shoulder seams there, and you can see there are two stitches there. They might be a little bit tight where we've sewn them, but if you want to get yourself into the first stitch, yarn over and then go into the next one, which is the first stitch of the neckline. And we're just going to half double crochet those together. Oh, I've dropped it. Start again. Yarn over, go into the last stitch of your lapel, and then yarn over again and go into the first stitch on the back of the neckline, just where that shoulder seam meets. And we're going to half double crochet that two together. That just draws it in nice and tight there and brings the hood in. And then just continue doing half double crochets along the back of the neckline. And do the same for the other shoulder seam. So I'm coming to the end of the first row for my hood, and I'm just going to chain one and turn. Wish I've got so much fabric here now. It's a lovely thick hoodie. So we've done our foundation row for our hood all the way along the back here. Now I like quite a large oversized hood. So if you want it to be a little bit more narrow, you can find your 2 centre stitches, and we're just going to do rows of half double crochet along. So we're going to do another 39 rows, so there'll be 40 rows in total for the hood. And as I said, it will be quite a large oversized hood, but that's how I like it. If you want to make it more narrow, then count in your stitches, find your 2 centre stitches and place 2 markers there, and you can half double crochet 2 together as you come along to those centre stitches, and you can bring in your hood a little bit more narrow until you feel that's good enough, and then you can just continue with half double crochets. I'm just going to make half double crochet rows and make it nice and easy for myself. So I'm going to do another 39 rows, so I've got 40 rows in total, and then I'll seam that hood together. Here is my completed hood. So there's the line that I've joined to the top of the sleeve openings there, and that's my 40 rows. As my jacket is still turned wrong side out at the moment, I'm going to fold my hood in like that, so the top of the hood is nice and lined up there. I want to make sure each stitch lines up, and if you put it towards the back of you, it will be towards the wrong side. So when we flip the jacket inside out, the seam will be on the inside. So we're just going to go and stitch that together now. So I'm going to grab my yarn. I've just got a scrap piece of yarn from the same yarn ball. And you want to make it sure it's really nice and secure on the ends, so that doesn't come loose. So we're going to go into there, do 2 or 3 stitches in that same stitch just to make sure it's nice and secure. And we'll just seam all the way along and seam the hood. Just check that you're doing it the right way, so when you turn it right side out, that the seam is on the inside. Okay, so I've seamed my hood and I'm just going to secure that at the end. Nice and tight so it doesn't come out. And I'm going to chop a bit off now and weave in my ends. Once we've completed the hood, we'll move on to doing the sleeves. So I'm just going to weave that in there. Make sure that nothing's visible and it's all nice and secure. And then once that's turned right side out, this will be your hood. So let's move on to the sleeves. We're going to grab our yarn and our needle and we're going to join in the bottom of the sleeve hole. Okay, so I'm going to join my yarn here at the bottom of the sleeve hole. There is a slight gap there, so we're going to go into there with our first stitch. We're going to join with a slip stitch and half double crochet into the same stitch. So there's one there, that's our first half double crochet, just into that little gap at the bottom. And then we're going to evenly crochet all the way around, one half double crochet for each row. So you should have 23 rows on each side. So we'll put one extra one in the bottom and one extra one in the top. So you should have 48 stitches round in total. 46 for the sides completed and 2 extra ones. So I'm just going to do that. If you just search for your rows as you're going along. So my next one goes in there. Just evenly crochet, one half double crochet for each row. So I've come to the end of my first side. I've got 24 stitches in total. So I've got my first stitch here and then 23 rows, so 24 in total. And just here it might be a little bit difficult to get your stitch in from where you've sewn it, but just try and get one stitch into the top of your sleeve there. So that's 25. And then again, 23 rows all the way down the side. So there's my foundation row for my sleeve, and we'll be working back and forth. So we're not going to join this here, and we're not going to need any markers or anything like that. We're going to chain one and turn, and you'll just work back and forth. You'll have some decreased rows. I'm just going to put a little bit of text up for you now for you to continue with the sleeves. Of course, if you're following along with the written pattern, everything's there for you. So our next row that we're going to be doing is we're just going to continue doing to row 4 half double crochets. So that's the first row, this is the second row. So we'll repeat the rows of half double crochet for 4 rows. Just going back and forth, and then we'll begin our decrease rows. after we'll seam the sleeves together. So once it's turned wrong side out, we'll seam the sleeves together, and I'll show you what that looks like. Here's my completed sleeve. So you can see that it's open here and it tapers with my decreases towards the end. So all we're going to do with the jacket still wrong side out is we're going to, we've left a long tail to seam the sleeve. So we'll just start to seam at the bottom. Again, make sure it's nice and secure. Don't want it unraveling. And you'll just seam it all the way along up to the armhole and make it nice and secure at the end. So make sure it's joined up row for row, and you'll just seam all the way along up to your armhole, make it nice and secure here at the end. Okay, so my sleeve's nicely seamed all the way along and nice and tight at the end there. You can turn this inside out the right way now if you want to just check you're happy with it. And this is sleeve number 1 complete. You might just want to sort of block those a little bit, pull them out, flatten your seam a little bit. This is going to be sleeve number 1 complete. These are loose sleeves, baggy sleeves, you know, so you can wear some comfy clothes underneath, something to keep you a nice bit warm. If you are using this for a festival, it's going to keep you lovely and snug. So we'll just move on and do exactly the same for the second sleeve, and then we will begin on our edging. So make sure that when you're completing your jacket, until you've finished the edging and everything, make sure everything is turned wrong side out. You don't want to get confused. So I've turned that back out now. and I'll move on to the edging. And we're nearly done. Here is my boho jacket, now complete with both sleeves. So I've turned this jacket right side out now for my edging. Got my hood there, everything's right side out, and the jacket's looking great so far, lovely and long. So the edging, we're just going to go right in and grab it on the right side, and we're going to join it with a slip stitch into there and just do half double crochet all the way around the edge. We're going to put one half double crochet in each row, so you should be able to see your rows clearly. So I'm going to join it in the bottom here, so this will be my first row, my foundation row. I'm going to slip stitch into that first stitch, and then I'm going to do a half double crochet into that stitch as well. Okay, so I can see my next row is here, so I'm going to half double crochet into the end of that row. And then there's my next row there, my third stitch. So just go into that sort of space, looks a bit like a chain, just at the end of each row there, and we're just going to do that all the way around the hood and down the other side. Okay, so that gives us a nice neat edge of half double crochets then to start doing our ribbing. So we're going to go all the way along the sides, all the way up around the edge of the hood and along the other side, and then we can start doing some ribbon then. So it should be quite easy to follow, just make sure that you can see your rows clearly. So there's one row, there's the next row, and so on like that, and we'll just put one half double crochet in all of those all the way around. I'm just come in to the end now. I've half double crocheted all the way around my jacket, and I'm just going to half double crochet in the bottom there to the first row that we did. And we're going to chain two and just try and turn all of this work here. Okay, so for the next row we're going to be doing post half double crochets. So we're going to just leave that as a chain two for the first stitch, and then the next one we're going to yarn over and we're going to do a back post stitch. So pull through there, so yarn over, we're going to do a front post half double crochet now. So we yarn over, we go behind post there and yarn over and pull through three. So we're going to alternate between back and front post stitches there. So the next one's going to be a back post, so I yarn over, I go in through the back of my stitch there, behind the post and over the top, yarn over and pull through all three. Again, yarn over, we're doing a front post now. So just go behind the stitch, put it to the front, yarn over and pull through all three. So this is going to begin our ribbon, our ribbed edge. So we'll just repeat this all the way around. Just as we're going around, we're going to want to add our buttonholes. I'm only adding 4 buttons. I've got these lovely pink buttons here, but I like quite a few space between mine, and I also like it a bit open at the bottom, but you can have more. So what I do now is, just so I know where I want to leave my spaces, I've put some markers. So what I've done is, here's the row where my hood begins, so I've counted down from that row 11 rows. So I've counted down 11 rows, and then in between the 11th and the 12th row I've added a marker, and then I've counted 11 rows, and I've just done that all the way down for my 4 buttons. Then when I get to this stage, so I'll do my post stitches all the way around, and when I get to here I'll just chain 1 over that row there, so over that stitch there I'll just chain 1, and I'll do that for all of the buttonholes, and then I'll just continue to the end doing my back post and front post half double crochets all the way along. So that's how we're going to make our buttonholes. Again, you can change whether you want them closer or further apart, whether you want more or less buttons, that's up to you, but this is the stage where you want to put your markers just so you know where to place those chain stitches as you go. So I will just continue all the way around until I get to those markers doing my post stitches. So I've just done a front post, I'll yarn over, go into the back of the stitch and over the post, yarn over, pull it through, and then pull it through all 3. So that's a back post. I'm going to do a front post now, yarn over, through the stitch, yarn over, and pull through all 3. Then yarn over, back post now, go behind the post, over, pushing that to the back, then I'll pull this through the front, my hook, yarn over, pull through all 3. Again, yarn over, do the front post now, just pop it behind that post and put it forward, yarn over, and pull through all 3. So you can start to see that we're getting a ribbed edge here. What we'll do for the next row, just to complete this, is when we've gone all the way to the end, we'll chain 2, and then we'll do the opposite stitches. So if I've done a back post here, when it's flipped the other way around it'll be a front post, just so you can see that you're pulling all the rib on the same side. So whatever you've done on this side will be the opposite for the next row. So I'll show you when I've done that. I've completed 3 rows in total of alternate front and back half double crochet. I'm just coming to the end of my 4th and final row. I've left those stitch markers in there just so I can see where my holes are, so I can have my buttons later. So I just want to show you how the rib looks. So when you're on this row, this front post double crochet on the previous row was a back post double crochet. So just as long as when you turn your work, you're just following the post that's in front of you. So this one, as it looks to me now, is a back post. That would have been a front post on the previous row. So I'm just going to go into that, yarn over again and pull through 3. And then the next one, as I'm looking at it, is a front post. So I'll yarn over, go behind that post, yarn over, and go through all 3. And I'm just following these posts as I see them all the way down. So it would be the opposite from what they were in the previous row. So there's 4 rows of this alternating between back and front post half double crochet. And then that's it. Our jacket will be complete. At the end, so I'm going to finish with my last back post half double crochet, and then just on the end there we always start with a chain 2 and end with a half double crochet into there. So here is our rib, our edging for our buttonholes. It's lovely and thick. It just gives a nice finished edge to the jacket. We'll tie that off within our ends, and then we'll have a look at our completed jacket. Here is my completed boho festival hoodie. I'm obsessed, I absolutely love it, and I can't wait to wear it. I've got a few functions coming up soon, barbecues, days out with the kids, so this is going to be perfect for keeping me nice and warm. I love how chunky it is, the colours, it just comes together as something really wearable, you know, for country walks, fire pits in the garden, so I'm sure it's going to get lots of use. Great in the kids' sizes as well. You know, you could probably get a few winters out of the size that you choose. As these are oversized, you can obviously wear them the year after. So I'm going to remove my markers now and just fasten this up. Of course, if you want to use bigger or smaller buttons, or if you want to add more, then you can count that down and work out the rows to add them to yourselves, or you can just continue by doing the 11 rows and just add a few more at the bottom. I'm quite happy with that. So it comes together great. These buttons I found in Hobbycraft. I don't think you get that in the US. I will try and find a link for something similar, or for the same ones if you're able to purchase them on Amazon, and I'll try and add that for you into the pattern. So just taking all my markers out all the way along. It's easy to find those buttonholes from the chain one from the first rows. And there we are. Oh, that's going down. It is quite tight actually, the buttonholes. I don't know why that's coming out there, but it is nice and snug, they won't come loose. And here we have it. So, I really hope you've enjoyed following this tutorial. Don't forget to subscribe, because I will have more jackets, jumpers, small items, quick items for beginners, and of course other sizes, so I'll do some children's sizes, adult sizes. And please share your items with me, so if you've made one the same, or I love to see the different yarns that everybody uses, you know, and the different variations. I've seen people try my jackets out and do a contrast edging, which looks great, and I love it. I love seeing how all your minds work. So please share with me. You can share with me on the page or Facebook. Facebook is Peanut and Plum, and Instagram is Peanut and Plum. So please hashtag me there. And great, thanks for joining along, guys. Take care.